Mikal Bridges as well. They were huge on a night where the Suns hit 20 threes. Plenty of other post-game reaction as the Bucks got 42 from Giannis. Not enough. Tim Legler will be here. Stephen A. Smith from the Valley. They will be joining us in just a moment. How did Game 2 play out? Well, it started out with the Bucks in attack mode. Well, that's clean. I didn't see that. Gotta work on that. Get a little double-breasted in my game. Giannis in attack mode, and it was a really big first quarter from the Bucks early on, but this was the story. The Bucks had played good defense, but if the Suns got a look from three, they cashed it. Jay Crowder, Booker. What a disparity with the Bucks doing a whole lot of work in the paint, mainly due to Giannis with 20, but the Suns getting 24. They had 20 in this game. 6-point game. Make it 9. Eventually, Paul, all 3 of these. And the Valley roaring their approval. Devin Booker getting some love from Dwayne Wade when it's done. Giannis, 42 in a losing effort. Book goes for 31. The Suns have a 2-0 series lead. The 23-pointers, a new franchise record for a playoff game. All 4 games on this list have occurred this postseason, all coming against 4 different opponents. As you might surmise, they are 4-0 in those games. We are joined by Stephen A. Smith in the Valley. Stephen A., I'll get your thoughts in just a moment. Tim Legler here in studio. And Tim, as you're watching the game in Tony's office here, it's your office. Tony's never coming back to the building. As you're watching this game tonight unfold, a lot of different ways you could go for the theme. What's the main storyline for you?
It's that the Bucks, look, they came with it. They played hard tonight. They made the adjustments defensively. They pursued Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They fought over screens. They put Drew Holiday on Chris Paul. Just like all the things I said after game 1 they should do, they did. And yet, Scott, you looked up after the early onslaught by the Bucks, and they're trailing in the first quarter at some point. And then 3 straight 30-point quarters by the Suns, despite the fact that I felt like the Bucks were competing. Every time a ball was deflected, it came off the glass, there were bodies on the floor. The Phoenix Suns ended up with it, and then they got points out of it. They converted it. I mean, back-breaking type plays when you've got the Bucks laying it on the line defensively and not coming up with those balls, the Suns would not only get it, they would then move it out of that and make the Bucks continue to chase them. I just thought the connection that the Suns had offensively tonight was special. That's how you make 23s in a game. There's such a trust level on that team that if it's my turn, it's coming my way, and you can guarantee if it's your turn and I have it, it's going to come to you when you're supposed to get it. That, to me, summed up the way the Suns played the last 3 quarters. 3 straight 30-point quarters on a night when I feel like the Bucks played pretty well defensively for the most part. That's kind of scary for Milwaukee going forward.
That's how it felt here watching it. Stephen A. Smith there in the building. How would you describe what you saw from a Bucks team that, as Tim said, gave everything, but the Suns team constantly had the answers? That's awfully impressive given that this is their first playoff run together. What'd you see?
Well, I don't disagree with what Tim Legler, the great Tim Legler, pointed out. What I would challenge him on, however, is what he left out. Yes, they came in with a game plan. They made the necessary adjustments to start game 2. But obviously, if you're Budenholzer, you're going up against Monty Williams and a coach on the floor in CP3 who hit about 50% of his shots, finished with 23 points, 8 assists, even though he turned the ball over 6 times. You see Devin Booker hitting shots early, okay, from 3-point range, and assistant coaches are looking to talk to Budenholzer, and Budenholzer's not even listening to them, okay? He's not making any in-game adjustments. That was a pivotal problem as far as I'm concerned. We can look at Drew Holiday and no 7 for 21 shooting. He was absolutely awful offensively. Middleton, he really needs to look in the mirror. When Pat Connaughton has more points than you coming off the bench, he had 14, you had 11, even though you took 6 more shots. That's incredibly problematic. You waste an effort from Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was nothing short of sensational, and primarily because you didn't make the necessary in-game adjustments. It's like any time you throw a monkey wrench into the plan that Budenholzer had coming into it, then he seems to be a bit flummoxed. And I thought that was a problem tonight. They couldn't make the necessary adjustments. And by by the way, guys, Tim Legler, me, Scott Van Pelt, none of us mentioned Mikal Bridges. 27 points tonight and 7 rebounds. And he hit about 50% of his shots as well. They probably didn't count on that. That hurt him, but they let Devin Booker get off early, find his rhythm, find his groove. They did very little about that until it really mattered most. And at the end of the day, it cost them.
Well, Bridges is going to have an opportunity to be talked about as he will join us here momentarily off a spectacular performance. And I wonder, Tim, as you hear Stephen A. describe the adjustments that Budenholzer made to start but didn't make here, it's a make-miss league. I mean, I feel like the Bucks played awfully good defense, but they got chasing, and that one sequence we showed on 10 passes, I don't know how they could have been any better.
Yeah, to Stephen A's point, and he's right about this, when they go watch the film tomorrow, if there is one thing that they never really adjusted to was an overcommitment to dribble penetration. You don't need to flood 3-4 guys to the lane on dribble penetration against Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges. You don't. You've got length at the rim with Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's where the Bucks came up small. Too many guys flooding to the paint, and watch how many times in this game you'd have a drive from the right wing and a kick to the left corner because they're floating to the corner off of that penetration.
Right.
Mike Budenholzer actually said it at his end of quarter interview. If there's one thing I saw in the first quarter, I think we're over-helping on penetration. They never really adjusted to that.
Right.
This is a team that 16 made threes through 3 quarters, had 4 more in the fourth. That really put the game away with some real daggers when the Bucks made it close.
Stephen A., you and I, we made a mistake a couple of years ago. With this Bucks team, they had a 2-0 series lead on Toronto. And you and I, on this show, we used the term wrap. We were incorrect. I'm not asking you if this is a wrap, but based on what you've seen in these 2 games in Phoenix, what would have to happen for you to believe that something other than the Suns winning 2 more games in this series is going to happen?
Well, Giannis has to get some help offensively from the backcourt, whether it's Jrue Holiday or Middleton. Both of them are being paid exorbitant amount of dollars to show up when it counts, and they've been non-existent as far as I'm concerned on the offensive end of the floor. That would be one thing. Another thing is attack DeAndre Ayton. Remember, Dario Saric has torn his ACL, okay? And now tonight, Craig goes down, and he's got an injury as well. They're very thin on their front line. The Milwaukee Bucks are effective on their front line offensively. Attack the interior. Get Ayton out of there and make Phoenix go considerably small. So when you go small as the Milwaukee Bucks, you're still big because you got Giannis at the 5. This, to me, is something that they should be doing, and it's very simple. I'm not going to call it a wrap. We're not going to make the same mistake, SVP, that we made a couple of years ago against Toronto. But I will tell you this. You better win these 2 games, because if you only win one, I'm not going to disrespect them by assuming they're going to get swept. But if you don't win both of these games in Milwaukee, this series is going to end in 5 right here in Phoenix, and Phoenix is going to capture the championship. Milwaukee's got to go back. They got to win both games. They got to stop worrying about sending out petitions to keep people like me from coming to town. And instead, what they need to do is put forth the petitions against their coach and players and say, rise to the occasion and get it done, because we got a lot on the line here. They've got to play better. They've got to play better defensively, and your guards, who are making a lot of money, in Jrue Holiday and Middleton, who both can play the game. They're not scrubs. You got to show up, and Giannis shouldn't have to be on the sideline imploring you to step it up. You should know automatically that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's the damn finals. It's the NBA finals. This ain't a regular season game. It's on the line. They got to show up.
The point that Stephen A. makes about Saric being injured and Craig going out is interesting, because I felt like we heard I felt like both Van Gundy and Jackson pointed out there was a fatigue level that evidenced itself at times with the Suns. Again, they had every answer, but at some point that depth, which was a luxury for this Suns team, is going to become, I don't want to say a weakness, but it's not a luxury anymore. The fatigue does feel like it could be a factor moving forward for the Suns team based on the absence of certainly Saric. We'll wait to find out about Craig.
Yeah, defensively, no question. They're going to be very thin up front. I'm not even sure what their solution is going to be when they have to give DeAndre Ayton a blow now. They're not going to play Kaminsky a lot of minutes, so it's no question. Monty Williams has more buttons to push now as they go forward. The problem is this, though. When you look at the Suns' role players, and you look at a guy like Bridges, who is a role player on this team, has 27 points. The reason that these guys have these kind of nights is because the ball is shared to such an extent that the looks that they get, the quality of the shots that they take, they always stay in their lane and it just makes guys play with an enormous amount of confidence and comfort zone. They don't have to try to do anything outside of themselves. And Bridges was pretty good tonight putting the ball on the floor, which he normally doesn't do. But it all stems from the fact that their role players are confident because Chris Paul and Devin Booker are controlling the game. Those guys are going to get great opportunities. And right now they're capitalizing, and the Bucks stars are not playing well.
Tim Legler, we'll get more from you a little bit later. Stephen A. Smith, quickly, going to get to Coach Bud. Go ahead, quickly, Stephen A.
I just want to chime in with what Tim Legler just pointed out that Phoenix does offensively, Milwaukee's not doing. They're not sharing the basketball. They're not trusting one another. They're not creating a lot of movement without the basketball, which is making it easier for Phoenix to defend them even when they're shorthanded because you're not challenging them. That's the problem.
Outscored by 33 from three. That's going to be a hard math equation to make up for. You start the day early and you stay up late. First Take coming in the morning, Stephen A. As always, the time's appreciated, my friend.
My man. See y'all later.
All right. Stephen A. Smith, Tim Legler. Thanks, Tim. You'll be back in a minute. Coach Bud with thoughts on falling in this 0-2 hole.
You always give credit to the defense. Those guys, do a good job. And there's probably a few looks that I think that they got to go in. When you're playing against a good defensive team, you get a good, clean one. Drew was getting to the paint a lot. I liked his aggressiveness. So, I think we need all three of those guys. And, I think they just keep working. They'll come good.
To quote the great Jay-Z, allow me to reintroduce myself as we say hello to Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson once again. Gentlemen, as you watch the disparity in threes, and the way the ball was shared on that Phoenix Suns side, they take this 2-0 series lead. Concern for Coach Bud and the Bucks as they go home, other than the obvious 0-2 hole, is what?
Their backcourt production offensively. I think they've got to get Holiday and Middleton started early in the game. I agree with Mike Budenholzer, who's done such a great job with this Milwaukee team. They got some good looks. Holiday did, particularly early, driving it hard, just not able to convert enough.
Mark, and it was interesting because I felt like Drew was really aggressive offensively early, and they played really well. But there was this barrage of threes from the Suns that allowed them to take the lead there in the second. They're up double digits at the half. When you play that well in a game of this magnitude early and you find yourself down double digits at the half, how demoralizing is that?
It can be very demoralizing, and especially when your best player is rolling. Giannis had an incredible night. He was spectacular. Kept his foot on the gas pedal, attacked the paint area, made plays time and time again. The other guys, what Jeff was talking about, that backcourt has got to get going. And I point the finger directly to Chris Middleton. He is too elite of an offensive weapon to just be a regular guy on the floor. They've got to find a way to get those guys clicking on all cylinders where they can all be aggressive. But Chris Middleton has got to get his share of touches.
And, Jeff, to the point that you guys are making, how fixable is this? I mean, they make 9 threes? I think they got outscored by 33 from behind the arc. If a couple shots go in a game that was 5 points in the fourth, we're talking about a coin flip. Maybe they're not as far off as it might appear. Is that reasonable?
That's more than reasonable. Often the difference between teams and in games is it's a very small, microscopic line. And right now, we always talk about, shooting and, one team, sometimes we overreact when one team shoots it well and another team doesn't. And we talk about intangibles like chemistry and intensity. And really it comes down to one thing. Both teams played well. They shared it well. One team shot it very well. Milwaukee didn't. It's that simple.
We've got Mikal Bridges, who's now mic'd up with us, which means we can say thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to talking again later in the series. Thanks, as always, for the time, man.
Thanks, Scott.
You.
All right. Which way am I turning? There we go. Mikal Bridges, hi. Scott Van Pelt, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the 2-0 series lead and the significant contribution you've made. This is the finals. It's the biggest stage there is in this sport. You all have looked incredibly comfortable on this stage. How would you best describe how you have felt in this arena?
Honestly, it's a blessing to be here. Just feeling confident, just trying to go out there, whatever I work on, just use it out there, play hard, and be aggressive, and try to help my teammates on the other end and defend as hard as I can.
How do you best describe your role as you understand it with Paul, with Booker, with Ayton? I mean, it's a hell of a luxury, I would think, to have you, a guy that's capable of getting 27, but how do you understand and envision the role that you try to fill each night?
I'll just be aggressive, man. I know with Book and CP, they're just unbelievable with the ball. And I just try to help them when the teams try to overhelp, and just try to be aggressive. DA gets me open as well, just him being a force. When I drive, they give me layups or jump shots as they worry about him. So, I just try to play as hard as I can, be aggressive when I'm off ball, and just try to make an impact.
From your college days at Nova to now, these big stages I keep talking about, you've lived on them, you've thrived on them, and I'm a big environment and atmosphere guy. Help me understand what the building has been like for these two games, because I'm sitting on the other side of the country and I'm watching, and it seems absolutely bananas. What's it been like?
It's been unbelievable, man. I feel like we have the best fans, and trust me, if you were here, you will feel the energy. It's just unbelievable, especially when we're making runs, and it makes it more exciting to come out here and play every night.
Well, congratulations on the 27 and the 2-0 series lead. Appreciate you taking the time to stop, and best of luck the rest of the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, three little things here on a big 2-0 series lead for the Suns. They're the 36th team to take a 2-0 series lead in the NBA Finals. 31 of the previous 35, that's 89%, won the title. Monty Williams now becomes the 10th head coach to grab a 2-0 lead in his NBA Finals debut. Given the math of the previous equation, you can guess that probably went pretty well from there. 8 of the 9 went on to win. Avery Johnson, 2006 Mavericks, not able to get that one finished. Phoenix team now ahead of all the others in team history, breaking a tie for the most home wins in a single postseason with 8, as well as the most wins overall in a single postseason with 14. And again, one more number from this night, 20. That's the number of threes they made. Bucks had just 9, that 33-point differential from beyond the arc, a huge reason why they win this one by 10. We're with you till 1 o'clock Eastern time, just getting started with our coverage of Game 2. Before we get to break, let's not forget the Bucks were down 2-0 against the Nets, where they came back to win that series on the road in 7 games, which is why Stephen A. and I aren't going to break out that rap word again. Not going to make that mistake again. Still a couple of games at home to try to even this thing up. He says hello to Dwayne Wade after the victory. Bucks down 2-0. Been 4 2-0 comebacks in the finals, including 2005. Most recently, 2016 Cavaliers against Golden State. All 4 teams won Game 3 en route to pulling off the comeback.
Hey, 2 things. We got better tonight. I can feel it. We can feel it. We're getting better. We're going to go home. We'll be better at home. Think about the boards. Think about those 50-50 balls. We got to get the 50-50 balls. We got to take care of the board and then go play on the other end. We're getting better. We're going home. That's exactly what we need. All right? Stay together. Stay together.
The exact point Tim Legler made, the 50-50 balls. And it wasn't just that the Suns got them. It's what they did with them when they got them. They punished the Bucks time and time again. They also buried 23s, your specialty. What can you show us about how they got them?
Yeah, I'm so grateful when a sound can set up my touchscreen perfectly like that from Coach Bruno. That's exactly the problem. We talk about them being close, Scott. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. They are close. But these kind of things have to be tightened up. And let's take a look at this. It's one of their pet sets. They love running this. Nobody else in the league runs this kind of a set. They put Booker underneath the rim, and he's going to come off this screen all the way up, and then DeAndre Ayton is going to run a dribble handoff. They're trying to get Booker right here, this area for a three-point shot. Bucks actually defend the initial action pretty well. You get a little switch there. Booker ends up with an open shot, but watch what happens after. This just can't happen. So here's Devin Booker. He missed the shot. The ball right now is on the rim. Pretty good box out right here by Middleton. You've got inside position with 2 Bucks here. Here's the problem. This ball is going to end up near the foul line. PJ Tucker can't do this. You cannot leak out. Drew Holiday's flat-footed. He needs to get here to pick up this loose ball. He doesn't do it. Instead, Devin Booker beats him to the spot. This has to be Milwaukee basketball. And then once they get it, Scott, this is what I was talking about earlier, the over-penetration. This is what the Bucks are doing all night long. They're flooding to the lane on all penetration, and nobody in the league floats baseline better than this team. If you drive baseline from one side, you get baseline from the other side.
Yep,
because it's how you create the passing lane and the vision right there. Cam Johnson, great read. Booker with the kick. 3 points off of a play that you should have gotten a defensive rebound. Here once again, a little bit of a busted play. Bridges with the drop off to Ayton. And again, look at how much activity is in this lane. 3 bodies. Brook Lopez is out here sort of lost. His head is turned on the play. But once again, we're going to float base. Drive base, float base. And this is even their center making this play. A very difficult pass in traffic for DeAndre Ayton. But this, again, it's off a little bit of a broken play, and you end up with a corner 3 because, one, that's something that you work on in camp. That starts in training camp, the drive base, float base. And you get that ball moving around the horn. You had the 10-pass possession in the highlight earlier.
Crazy.
That had multiple drive base, kick base that guys turned down. So it's not just the loose balls you don't get. It's what happens at the end of that. It is so devastating to give up threes on plays when you're supposed to have a defensive rebound to give yourself a chance to compete. Budenholzer hit it on the head. They're going to see the film. They're going to see 8 to 10 of those types of plays where the Suns get multiple opportunities on the same possession that ends up with a 3-point shot.
Giannis goes for over 40. We've hammered home the point that the backcourt's got to score more. I think Middleton will. He's done it time and time again throughout these playoffs. Just go back and look at what he did. Look how good he was in that net series in against Atlanta as well. I mean, he produced in big ways. But what Budenholzer said, right, we got better. Maybe. But how do you convince yourself that you really did? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a team, how do you organically make that grow and buy it?
I think you know that, first of all, as a team, when you come off the floor, you know what kind of energy you expended out there. And they felt like tonight, much more preparation into it, much more sweat. They left some skin on the floor. They did not do that in the first game. So that's the first thing. You do feel better about the fact that you played that hard. I see what you're saying, though. Is it demoralizing if at the end of that you still give up close to 120 points? You still give up 20 made threes at the end of that? Yes, that is demoralizing. But I think what they are again going to do, and they did it clearly from game 1 to game 2 with some adjustments defensively, it's what we were just talking about. We have to cut down on these types of possessions where they're punishing us at the end of a possession in which we did everything right for 20 seconds and don't secure the basketball. That's what they're going to hang their hat on. They've got 2 days to go take a look at film, to walk through some stuff. Look, Middleton, bottom line is you got to put the ball in the basket. He's not a guy that's wilting under the light. He's just not that kind of guy. He has shown you before in big moments what he's capable of doing. I'm not worried about that.
I agree.
He has to get rolling. I expect him to do that at home. They clearly had an intention to get Drew Holiday going tonight, Scott, at the start of the game. Very first possession, they ran a play for him to get him a look at the three-point line. He just can't put the ball in the basket tonight.
Yeah.
So you got 2 guys struggling. Giannis trying to do more right now than he's probably capable of to get this team a win.
I just wonder, we saw it last night with the Lightning in the Stanley Cup. Like, anytime they lost, they won. And the Bucks haven't lost a bunch, but they've typically, if they've lost, they've come back out and won. So now you find yourself in this 2-0 hole. They've been there before against the Nets, and they were able to dig their way out of it. Getting back home, that gives you everything's on the table for them to get game 3, and then all of a sudden the mood changes.
Different animal. This is a different team.
I agree.
This is now 13-2 in their last 15 games in the playoffs.
I'm just saying, to the point of trying to make yourself believe what Budenholzer said.
Hey, we want people to watch Game 3, so I'm not trying to say that this is over with by any means. The Bucks can definitely win both games at home.
Sure.
But right now, you're looking at this team and you're saying, what can we do to slow them down? And the main thing right now you need more than anything else, you need Chris Middleton to show up in a big way of the first half of Game 3. That's going to calm them down tremendously, and it's also going to force the Suns to take the ball out of the net a little bit more, which gives you an opportunity to, again, play in half-court defense and not give up some of that early surge up the floor where he got some threes.
I'm animated just because I feel like I always back Middleton. I feel like people want to act like he's not what he is. He's proven to be an all-star. My guy Stanford Steve says you overreact to what you saw most recently. Go look at his game log through the playoffs. He's been a star throughout the playoffs. Wasn't tonight. Going to need to be for Game 3.
He'll show up in Game 3.
31. for Devin Booker, the sixth player in finals history with at least 30 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, and 5 three-point field goals. Good night to have a great night. After Booker and the Suns grab a 2-0 series lead with the finals heading to Milwaukee, Chris Paul with some thoughts on Book.
Big time, big time. He could tell you better than I can, but he didn't train and worked his whole life for these moments, you know. And our team all season long has been, you know, you put the work in, you live with the results. So if Book shoot it, I expect it to go in. I get mad at him when he don't shoot, you know. So big shots.
Once again, it's a pleasure to welcome Devin Booker back to the show, man. We're not trying to wear you out, but if you're going to keep playing like this, we're going to keep asking. So thanks for saying yes once again after a 31-point finals night. And you hear Chris Paul say that about you. He gets mad at you when you don't shoot. That has to be great to have the ultimate green light from the on-floor leader.
I mean, it gives you all the confidence in the world, Scott. I mean, playing alongside that guy, you know, he makes the game easier for everybody out there. So, you know, he always telling everybody, keep shooting. And, you know, he does a great job of making sure everybody's involved and controlling temperaments, controlling emotions. You know, he's the greatest leader ever, and I said that before.
If Monty had like a whiteboard with a list of things he hoped your team would accomplish tonight, share the ball, make a certain number of threes, 50-50 balls or whatever, I mean, I have to think you guys put a check mark next to every single thing you hoped to accomplish. How close did you guys come to executing exactly what you hoped to do?
I think we played well tonight. You know, there's obviously always some things that you can work on. I think we gave up too many offensive rebounds. I think they're in our paint a little bit too much, but, you know, that's the nature of the game. You know, as long as you come out with the win, you know, we can go in film session, clean some things up, and get ready for Game 3 in Milwaukee.
I think, Devin, it's natural for us to assume that a team that hasn't been on this stage, this is going to feel big or too big or this or that. Chris told me the other night when I asked him, did anything feel different? He said, just another game. I don't know that I buy that entirely, man. It's the finals. But how do you best describe what these two games have felt like?
I mean, they feel good. I wouldn't say, you know, just another game.
Right.
But I think Chris is coming from a place where, you know, he's prepared for these moments. And everybody on this team has. We've been waiting on these moments. You visualize yourself in these moments when you're working out in the summer. During the regular season, we stress the details. You know, even if you're up in a game or down by a game big, we're still stressing the details in the pursuit to get better for these moments right here. So, you know, I think we've seen pretty much any situation, any different coverage. We've went through every type of game, missing shots, making shots. So, you know, I think we're well prepared for this moment.
Human nature is a powerful thing. And I know you guys put in the work and you don't allow yourself to get down the road. But, I mean, you're 2 games away from winning an NBA Finals, right? So what is the key, Devin, for you, for your team to stay present in the present and not allow what could be to get in the way of what has to happen?
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem with our group. You know, we have some guys that, you know, have the eyes on the prize and understand the steps that it takes to get there. And, you know, there's no shortcutting it. There's no getting complacent. This is the NBA Finals, and we understand our matchup, the team that we're playing against. They're a very talented group that plays hard, and they're never out. And you've seen that today, you know, in the fourth quarter. They went on a few runs on us. So, you know, we just have to stay locked in, treat every game like a Game 7. Or we said, you know, treat the series as if it's 0-0, and that's what we're trying to do.
Whether it's Pretty Penny or the white double-breasted in the Chucks, man, you're always clean. Do you ever go anywhere looking bummy? Like, ever just throw on a hat and some sweats and just take the bus?
I don't know about bummy, but I'll put on some hats. I'll put on a hat and some sweats, but, you know, it's a lifestyle for sure.
Yes, indeed. Well, it is immaculate and the game to match. I appreciate you. Look, I can't promise we're not going to bother you. You keep playing like this, we're going to keep asking, but you're gracious to say yes, and we thank you for your time once again.
Hey, SVP, I appreciate it, man. I enjoy being here. I enjoy talking to you.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoy watching you play. Well done tonight, all right?
My God. Oh, man,
thank you very much. Devin Booker and the Suns leading 2-0. Paul and Booker have combined for 113 points in this series, the most by a starting backcourt in the first 2 games of a final series since starters were first tracked. Splash Brothers held the previous mark. That'll make our producer Marco very, very upset if they've been passed. Meanwhile, Giannis, on the other side of things, 42 points, tremendous, but not enough tonight.
This game.
No, as I said in my previous interview, when I'm out there, it's not about testing no more. I'm out there, I'm, trying to play, try to help my team win in any way possible. And, I was out there both times, and that's what I try to do. I think when you start thinking about your knee or thinking about your toe or pinky or whatever the case might be, you just, make an excuse in your mind. You're out there, just play the game, do whatever you can, leave it out on the floor, and no matter, what the outcome is, you just live with it.
And then it seems to me you guys came out, much more aggressive, really turned it on in that first quarter. What was it that you think you needed to do just to kind of stretch it out maybe to the full 48 as you guys are going back to Milwaukee?
We just gotta keep staying aggressive. Going back to Milwaukee, we've been here before. We know what the deal is. Just gotta be aggressive, keep enjoying, playing together, keep enjoying playing basketball. And hopefully our good habits, throughout the year can, take over, and we can put ourselves in a position to win the game. But we know what the deal is.
Sector O, go ahead, Eric. You get that cramp late. Was there any when it happened, were you thinking this is somehow connected to my knee or anything like that, or were you like, yeah, this is a cramp and just frustrated about it?
Just a cramp. I didn't think it was connected to my knee. It was, just a cramp. Gotta drink more water.
For you guys, when you guys go small without Brooke on the floor, you're obviously a huge part of the rebounding and kind of securing those. Late in the game, you guys struggled to finish those possessions. Just kind of what did you see, and does it feel like, as you're trying to get your stamina back, you can be as active as you want to be in those off-ball situations?
Yeah, we got to do a better job. We got to do a better job in the 50-50 balls. I think there was one possession that we gave them 3 open threes. Wasn't able to, get the rebound. I think we were like down 6 or something. It was a big shot. We just got to do a better job rebounding the ball, and it's tough. It's tough going small and like switching out. And then I gotta get my butt back and help my team to get the rebounds. But we're gonna hopefully move forward. We're gonna do a better job with that.
Giannis did his part, the 4th player since the NBA-ABA merger. That was 76-77 to score 40 with 10 rebounds in a finals loss, joining LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley on that list. Still hoping to hear more from Phoenix.